All right, I have a little bit of a pro tip for you guys. If you can control schedules, you can control common parameters really well. So I really hope that you guys take to controlling schedules. What I want to show you guys is like how to manage your sheets information by using schedules. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to View, I'm going to go to Schedules, and I'm going to create a sheet list. All right, so under sheet list, there are a bunch of parameters that you can pull in. Some of the standard ones obviously are going to be sheet name and sheet number. So let's pull those in first. Sheet name goes in first. Sheet number, we're going to hit this little add parameter button, little green arrow, and it pushes it over to the other column. The other thing that I want to point out is that basically all those other things that I showed you when I first introduced sheets also show up here, right? It's all the standard parameters for each individual sheet, not so much your project parameters. I mean your project information parameters, but definitely each sheet parameter is here. So we've got the designed by, drawn by, whether or not there's a guide grid, but don't worry about that. Actually, yeah, let's do guide grid. And you can even do sheet issue date. And then let's see. I don't think we need anything else. I don't think we need anything else right now. Those should be it. So put in sheet name, sheet number, designed by, drawn by, guide grid, and sheet issue date. It's all right. We can get back to it later. You're going to see it in a better format here. Okay, so those are all of your parameters at the top. What this shows you is a grid format of all of that information. So you've got your sheets on the left. You can see it's first floor schematic, second floor schematic, exterior elevation, site plan, etc. Right now, it is not organized by the sheet number. So the way that this gets manipulated is you have to change the order of these fields and then change which fields it's being ordered by. So if I want the sheet number to be on the left and to organize by sheet number, I need to go first to fields, and I'm going to move sheet number up to the top. When I hit OK, you'll see that that moves the sheet number column over to the left.
Where did you go to get the fields?
This little button right here, fields, under the properties. And then notice all these tabs at the top, right? You've got fields, filter, sorting group, formatting, and appearance. They're all the same buttons that you see on the left. So whether or not you click into it on the left-hand properties menu, or you just go to the next tab here in this menu, doesn't really matter. What I want you guys to do is go to sorting and grouping. And I want you to first sort by the sheet number, and then hit OK. What you'll see is that reordered all the sheets so that we start off with A001 and we end with A501.
Can you get the sheet please at the beginning?
Sorry. All right, so here's what I want to show you guys. When it comes to parameters, right? So Patrick asked the question, how do I just by default set all of my sheets to being drawn by me? Right? And there's not really an easy answer for that. It's not a project information parameter where it just applies to the universal project as a whole. It actually exists as an instance parameter for every single sheet, which means every single sheet needs to be individually populated. But you can automate that process by cleverly organizing your schedules right here. So the way I'm going to show this to you is starting off with, let's start off with like how to sort of collapse information. So right now, every single sheet has a separate number. Okay, there are no duplicate numbers of any sheet. So every single item is shown here in this list. If I switch to say, let's organize it by drawn by, because I have two sheets that are drawn by Kevin G, and the rest of my sheets are drawn by author. So I can organize by that column and only show those two figures. And then, well, you'll see what the result is. So I'm going to go to sorting and grouping. We're going to sort this by drawn by. And if you hit OK, it now reorganizes it so that it starts off with everything that was drawn by author and then everything that was drawn by Kevin G. Now, the most important checkbox in all of schedules. I want you all to remember this. When you go to sorting and grouping, there's this little checkbox at the bottom that says itemize every instance. If I uncheck that box, what it does is it collapses whatever column is being organized into each type that is possible within that column. So now it doesn't show me anything under sheet number or sheet name, because what's really happening is all of those sheet numbers that were under Kevin G and all of those sheet numbers that were under author are now sort of embodied in that one line. So if you want to change all of the other authors to be Kevin G, I just go to author and type in Kevin G. Now there's only one, because every single one of those sheets, if I go back to sorting grouping and I change itemize every instance, was drawn by Kevin G.
So when you just have the one left, you got to go back in and resort it.
You just need to turn off or turn
just
on
check-
itemize
check-
every
check
instance.
and uncheck.
Yeah. So then
Something like this, we can do it with the scale or other things, can like group it and change, sort of.
you can, I think. I think so.
Sheet name.
Good question. I'll try that in a moment. But I do want to point out one other thing. So if you guys have a sheet, like a set of drawings where there are a lot of plans, right, like a ton of floor plans, and you want them all to be aligned to the same guide grid, you can use the same principle to turn on the guide grid on all of your sheets all at once. So you go to sorting and grouping, change it to guide grid, and then, turn off itemize every instance, and now you can see that your guide grid functions, you can switch it to 1/2. Now every single sheet has a 1/2 guide grid. So that just automatically turned it on every sheet. Okay, so I can't stress this enough. Like this is one of those things that is as awesome as the align tool. It's just a little bit more complicated, so it doesn't seem like it's as revolutionary, but I swear to you, it really is. If you can master this, you're going to be saving tons of time in the office or on your projects, whatever you're doing it for. Question?
So when you make a new sheet after this, do those filters apply? Or you have to actually go back and then change the new sheet information to match whatever you're filtering by?
Any new sheet is going to come in with its default properties. So yeah, if you're creating new sheets after this, you will have to change that stuff. But you know, if you have this set up properly, so let's go back to a couple of these being, I'm just going to change them to A for author. Okay, so let's say I've got a couple that are under author. Let's say I have one preset up for authorship, right? So I'm going to go to drawn by, and then don't itemize every instance, right? So I've got those. If I create a new sheet, it's going to come in as author. So I can very quickly just switch those over to Kevin G in this schedule, and now I know everything is drawn by me.
So it's probably always best maybe then to have an author and your name. Just in case someone else comes in to work on the sheet, maybe.
Well, author is going to be the default. That's like hard coded into it, unless it's part of your title block family. It might be different. You could change your title block family to default to some other figure. But yeah, I mean, if you're working in a team, I guess that's another better answer for what you were looking for. Because if it's just you, then you want to go into your title block family and change that. So let's go into this title block family. Let's go to parameters. Actually, I don't know if you can do that. Now that I'm thinking about it. Let's go to, let's see, drawn by. I don't know if this gives you a default. I don't think it gives you a default. Huh.
You're going right into the back end there, aren't you?
Author. Author is not drawn by. I don't know. I'd have to look into that in a little more detail. Yeah, sorry, I don't have an answer. Any other questions? All right, cool. So make sure that you guys remember where this video is, because once you get an internship, you're going to want it. I promise.